Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be talking about four companies ka Q4 FY24 result. Okay, we'll be talking about Supreme Industries, Ethos, VMart, and Go Colors. Okay, we will also do the P2P of VMart with V2 Retail as well as the other company that is Bazaar Style Retail as well as Trent also. Okay, so first let us understand Supreme Industries Limited. What do they do? Okay, Supreme Industries Limited, if you see, they are involved in the manufacturing of mostly and their entire business revolves around manufacturing of plastic and plastic related product. Now what exactly means by plastic and plastic related product, you may ask, right? You might have used these pipes in your house, right, which is made up of plastic. It's those kind of pipes. So if you look at their business model, you can broadly divide it into four segments. One is the plastic packaging specifically for your pipes. Okay, the various kinds of pipe you see now, whether it is on your solars, which connects it to your pump or anything, all of these various plastic pipes that are there, which we use day to day in our bathrooms and everything. That's one. Second is consumer products. When you talk about consumer products, this plastic table, chair, all of this, right? This is called as consumer product ka division mein ye sab aata hai, theek hai? Then you have packaging products. When you talk about packaging products, they make these films that are used, on your products. Like you might have seen this Coca-Cola ka bottle ya fruity ka bottle, right? And there is this wrap, there's a wrapper around it, which mentions uska fruity ka label sab likha rehta hai. So these are like the specialty films. And the last one is, industrial products. When you talk about industrial product, your LPG ka gas cylinder that we have, right? Whatever the plastic component is required over there, right, they make these kind of products. So basically, but majority, like I told you, majority of the revenue that is there, or the major part of the revenue comes from this piping, yeah, plastic piping division unka hai, okay? That is a major contributor. Now if you look at this company, when they started in the first half of the year, they told that they would be targeting a volume growth of 10%, 10 to 15%. I could be wrong over here, because like I told you, this is like 4 quarters ago, but as much as I remember, if I'm not wrong, they targeted 10% at least kind of volume growth, and they had told they would be targeting, I believe, 1,25,000 metric tons per annum. I think that was the target in terms of metric tons, like what is the amount of production or the sales tonnage would be, right? This is one such thing. And the other target was, the EBITDA margins that is there, it would sustain somewhere between 13 to 15 percentage, in that range it would be. But over the quarters, I believe in Q1 followed by Q2, Q3, Q4, the guidance has only been decreasing, right? It's been coming down and down and down. Okay, and even if you look at right now, if you look at the entire year, that is FY24 versus FY25, or if you look on Q4 on Q4, earlier what they gave the guidance, obviously they missed it, but sequentially that the guidance that they decreased over the quarters, that also they've not been able to maintain. Okay, I'll just give you the numbers. If you look at the sales on a Q4 on Q4 basis, sales has been flat. If you look at a full year, sales is up by 5%. If you look at PAT, profitability is down 15% on Q4, and for the full year it is down by 11%. Okay, EBITDA margin also not really that great. EBITDA margin is at 13.7 versus 15% last year. Whatever, they were not even able to sustain the last year ka EBITDA margins too. Okay, talking about the most important thing, which is your volumes, right? Volume has grown only by 2% in Q4, and agar aap dekhte ho in terms of full year, volume is up by 3%. So not really great in terms of volume growth or sales growth or PAT growth, anything, or even the margins also they've not been able to maintain. For the full year, the amount of the sales tonnage has been around 65,000 metric tons over here. The target was, like I told you, if I remember, if I'm correct, it was around 1,25,000 metric tons, to do the sales tonnage. Even that also they've missed by a huge mark. So why did they miss the guidance by a huge mark in terms of volume, in terms of sales, in terms of margin? Is because now if you look at all the four verticals that are there, one is a plastic piping products. If you look at the consumer products or packaging or industrial division, you see that the volume growth, okay, mota moti single digit or mid single digit it is there. The main concern has been the value growth. There has been an immense value degrowth across all the categories, and adding on to that, the demand has also not been that great. Like if you look at the plastic packaging, volumes grew by 6%, but the value grew it grew by 2% in value terms. If you look at industrial product also, if you look at it, it degrew by 1% both in terms of volume and value. The reason for industrial, the products not doing well is because, as you know, since the beginning of this year, especially after that elections, right, One was elections. Because of elections, everything was delayed. After the elections also, the pace at which all this work had to take place, right? Everything is getting delayed. All the projects are getting postponed and everything. Because of this, these people face the brunt. Okay. When you talk about consumer product also degrew volumes by 6% and value by 3% and 1% respectively, volume and value. Consumer में क्या हो रहा है? Obviously यहाँ पे inflation है, people are not ready to buy, right? वहाँ पे that is the another problem in terms of consumer. In fact, unka wo chairs and tables, all these plastic product that is there, the demand is so low, right, that they're planning to like shift, the kind of product category they're catering to. Like they want to go to more that Almira range, towards that category than doing the home kind of, vertical. Okay. Then the last one that we have is, similarly, like all the packaging product also, the same thing, wahan par bhi, since the clients that are there, the B2B segments, it could be FMCG or other people, since they are not doing well, obviously aap kahan pe acha karoge, right? So overall, the entire demand for across the categories is muted. There has been an immense value degrowth, which in turn is affecting, the entire sales and your margins over here. Okay. Aage jaake, these people, if you look at them, they're talking about doing a lot of capex, right? If you look at the entire year, that is FY25 to FY26, they're targeting a capex of around 1,100 crore. Okay. A part of it involves, they're doing an acquisition. They're acquiring this one company, infrastructure business of this Wavin. There is this company called as Wavin India, and this Wavin India has a capacity of 73,000 metric tons per annum. But right, like no company, no plant can run at 100% capacity utilization. Maximum you can do is around 50 to like 75 capacity utilization you can do percentage. Okay. So if 73,000 is the amount of production they can do, metric tons per per year, if they can do, these people, if you're targeting 60% kind of capacity this year from Wavin ka contribution, if they're acquiring, it will be around 50,000 metric tons per annum will be added onto their capacity. This is one thing that they've told. But Wavin ka, the acquisition is not finalized yet as of now. It will be finalized, I believe, in July at that time. So the 9 months of Wavin ka revenue will be added to the consolidated statement in the upcoming year, that is FY26. Okay, so this is one. Other than that, they're also doing some brownfield expansion. They're also setting up a new plant in Kanpur, for their CPVC pipe and other things. But think about it, right? See, yes, understanding that capex is happening and everything, but it is not like a huge thing yahan pe, changes ho raha hai, because the entire industry, this plastic packaging industry is growing by, around 6 to 7% in that range. Let's say these people are doing, double the industry average, that's like a 12% ka growth. And that is exactly what they've told in guidance also, ki like this entire year, FY25, we've done 10,500 crore. Next year, including the Wavin ka production, we are probably going to do 12,000, 12,000 crores annually we will be doing. That's hardly like a 10% ka, how do you put it? Like a 10 to, I think 10 to 12% kind of growth, in in terms of sales guidance ka, in terms of revenue. That's the guidance. That's quite meek, right? I mean hardly 10 to 15%. Imagine you're like doing so much research, you're taking the volatility of all these, the markets that is there, you do not know what is happening. 10 to 15% is quite meek. Like I told you, the capex that they're doing, it's great that the capex that they're doing, they're adding so much capacity, but as of now when you look at it, it's not like, it's adding a lot of, capacity right now, considering to what they already have. And see, you have so much demand ka issue over here. Aap itna capex karke bhi kya fayda? This is like, see, ultimately I'm putting a tiger shark in my aquarium, right? Ultimately a shark can grow as much as its environment. You can get a tiger shark, you can get a blue whale shark, you can get a okra, whatever you can do, orca, you can get anything. But ultimately agar aap usko aquarium pe dal rahe ho, it can only grow up to the size of an aquarium. So similarly over here, a company can do hundreds of capex. It can do, it can keep acquiring companies and everything. But if the demand only is not there for, the environment that they are there, wahan pe agar demand ka hi dikkat ho raha hai, then how will you grow? It doesn't matter if the management is good or anything, but if the demand is not helping you, if there is no environment that is susceptible for your business to grow, then there is nothing you can do. Okay. Then the second company we'll be doing is Ethos Limited. If you look at Ethos, maybe if you look at it, it's to be very honest, right off the bat, if I have to tell you, it is a little bit of a disappointing set of numbers. Because one, if you look at it, as you know, Ethos does, they sell watches. That is all they do, right? They sell all this Swiss watches, high five brands, and luxury category of watches, whose how do I put this, whose price range starts at least from 1 lakh, right? That's the starting price, okay? And it can range up to like 3 to 4 crores, per piece that is there, okay? Now, if you look at Ethos, if you look at them, they were a good 40% kind of growth engine that is there. But if you look right now, sales hardly grew by, sales grew by 23%. I wouldn't say hardly, but sales grew by 23%. अगर आप Q4 on Q4 देखते हो, अगर आप year on year देखते हो, it is like around 25% का है. अगर आप देखते हो PAT, if you look at it, PAT grew by 8% in terms of Q4 on Q4 and 15% for the full year. ठीक है. EBITDA margins is quite stable. वही 17% पे है EBITDA margins. I believe it is 16.8. Last year it was 17. Few basis points only. EBITDA margin is quite stable only. No, not a lot of changes. Now, why EBITDA margin has not improved? Because one, they're opening a lot of stores. As you know, Ethos को stores जो है, it has to be opened in a premium location. So वहाँ पे rental cost is high. The employee cost is also upfront for you. So these are the reasons why EBITDA margin was not able to scale up on a higher level. ठीक है. But the most disappointing factor over here is the sales growth coming back over here. Because sales growth, like I told you, Ethos, it was growing at 30-40% at one point. Now we are seeing that the pace of growth has been coming down. Last quarter was, I would say, a bit of an anomaly, because if you look at last quarter, October, November, December, if you see more, there were many festivals that are there, that got preponed in the last year, that is this year of Q4FY25, right? Because if you look at Durga Puja in in 24 was, probably at the later end, right? Like in the year of 24-25, if you see, right? Sorry, 23-24, if you see, it was in the later part of October, versus when you see the last year of Durga Puja, that is the FY 24 to 25, that financial year, if you see that, that the kya bolte hain, the Durga Puja was in the starting of October. So due to this, a lot of festivities and obviously elections ke time, there has been a pushover of demand. As a result, we saw like, in Q3 we saw that 31% kind of growth, they went back to that old engine. But now I don't think, with the kind of growth that they're posting, and I think it's been this entire year, right? One, the pace of growth is coming down. Second is, because of the amount of store expansion that they're doing, utna bhi nahi kar rahe. But having said that, the amount of store expansion they're doing, वहाँ पे EPS का भी growth नहीं, ठीक है? And coming back to the store expansion also, earlier they were opening around 18 to 20 stores a year. Now they're opening 14 stores a year. Now again, it could be with management's fault or without management's fault. यहाँ पे एक और चीज है कि like, since these people are opening in a very premium location and all, क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे? If you have to open in a premium location, कितना ही है इंडिया में premium location, right? Most of the premium location is in malls. Now the problem with malls, what happens? उनका opening अगर delay होगा, तो आपको store का भी opening delay होगा, right? That is another thing, right? So because of all of these reasons, उनका भी store opening delay हो रहा है. So they opened 14 stores only this year, right? Or usually they open 18 to 20 stores. ये भी problem है, ठीक है? So, and I believe for the next year also, I don't know how many stores they'll open, because they've not mentioned it in the PPT, and con call is on May 14th, like literally 10 days, 8 to 10 days from now, right? So there's a lot of gap. वही ना, the entire thing with Ethos का यहाँ पे space of growth has completely come down, because if you look at them now, if you look at the 1 year forward P if I take with the current EPS growth that is there, it will come up to somewhere between 45 to 50p. In that range only it will come. आप एक 50p के लिए 20%, you have to pay 50 times earning for a 20% kind of growth engine. It makes no sense. Probably if Ethos was growing at 35 to 40%, then the current valuation would probably make sense to a certain degree. But the fact that both, one, the PE rating will be very hard, considering it is a 20% का growth engine यहाँ पे, that is one biggest red flag. I wouldn't say red flag, but a discomfort to the shareholders. The other discomfort is over here, the EPS ka growth is not there. And I think this full year, I mean, for all the 4 quarters, probably there has been no EPS growth. If I remember right, if my memory serves right, there has been no EPS growth. So how will the shareholders make money? EPS is also not growing. PE rating, it's hard to make at 20% ka growth engine with the current valuations that is there. So both of this will be a little bit of a drag down for, for the business. The other thing is, these people are slated to open 8 stores in the month of May, including one Messica. Messica is the jewelry, jewelry portfolio that they have. That is the high-end jewelry that they have. Again, here also 8 stores in May. Will they be inching up to that 18 to 20 stores? We don't know. ठीक है? So that is the thing. पूरा ये pace of growth कम होने के वजह से that entire that business का वो माहौल ही थोड़ा बिगड़ गया है यहाँ पे. So that's that with Ethos. Let's see con-call में क्या होते हैं. Let's see if they're increasing, they are going to add more stores or not. क्या करते हैं, we will see. But they must be opening. I don't think they will inch up more than 20 stores a year. ठीक है. Then the third company we'll be doing is VMart over here. Now VMart का I think there is no difference with the kind of update they have given and the result. ठीक है. Because यहाँ पे if you look at VMart, right? If you look at the business, directionally they're doing everything right. Because the last 2 years, if you look at it, not this year, the year before that, one, they suffered because of high base of COVID. Okay, after that the entire demand went for like a downturn. Okay, so obviously the company suffered as a result. But now that the demand is slowly coming back up for the entire value fashion category, right, you see that the sales growth is also being very consistent. Because if you look at this one full year, right, इस पूरा साल का अगर आप देखते हो, very consistent set of result. They've been growing in that 15 to 20% का growth, in that growth rate. SSG has also been quite strong, right? Because full year mein they grew by 18% sales. SSG ka full year was 11%, 8% for Q4, I believe, SSG. So quite a good set of numbers. Even another cherry on top, if you look at VMart, is they turned profitable. Okay? Because last time they were at a loss of 97 crore, like full year, and this time they turned profitable, and they're making around, I think this year profit has been around 40 crore. Okay? So you see, right, every single thing that is there is improving for them. The sales growth is improving, profitability is improving, margins are also increasing little by little. So good, directionally the business is moving in the right direction. Okay? But the problem over here with VMart is, see, whenever you talk about a market, everything is relative over here. It doesn't matter how you do. It is about, you have to compare the companies with the other people in the space or other companies in the space. It's all about relative performance over here, right? So if you look at VMart, in the value fashion space, you have B2 retail, you have bazaar style as well as trend, right? You have 3 other players. Now when you compare it, it comes last in the category or last in the race आप बोल सकते हो, ठीक है? Because B2 retail has grown its sales by कितना 62-65%. SSG has been 24. Similarly, bazaar style retail grew by 35%. SSG has been 12. Trend also on the other hand, although उसका pace of growth कम हो चुका है, right? वो 50 से 40, 36, now I think it's full year has been 35. Q4 has been 28% का sales growth and double digit SSG. They didn't mention in their press release the exact number of SSG, but they told कि like डबल डिजिट से ग्रो हुआ है. सो आई एम अज्यूमिंग इट इज समवेयर बिटवीन 12 to 14. सो जिसका पेस ऑफ ग्रोथ कम हो गया है, दैट इज ऑल्सो वे अहेड देन कंपेयर टू वी-मार्ट. ठीक है, लाइक ट्रेंड ऑल्सो विद द पेस ऑफ ग्रोथ कमिंग डाउन, इट इज 35% अनलाइक वी-मार्ट विच इज एट 17%. सो यही वी-मार्ट का दिक्कत होता है. ऑल्दो इट इज मूविंग इन द राइट डायरेक्शन, डूइंग एवरीथिंग राइट, प्रॉफिटेबल भी बन चुका है अभी, बैक ऑन प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी ट्रैक, एवरीथिंग इज डूइंग वेल, दे आर एडिंग अ गुड अमाउंट ऑफ स्टोर्स ऑल्सो. ठीक है, राइट? But the fact that it is not in the same league as the other players, right? V2 retail and Style Bazaar are competing with themselves. You have Trent in the middle and then you have VMart. Since it is not able to beat the peers in its space, right, although it is posting such good numbers, it becomes very hard for the shareholders involved over here to make money. Okay? That is the thing with VMart. Okay? Then the last company we'll be doing is Go Colors. Okay? Very interesting business development happening with Go Colors. अगर आप Go Colors का अगर आप देखते हो Q4 on Q4, sales grew by 13%. If you look at PAT grew by 52%. ठीक है? And अगर आप देखते हो इसका SSG finally is at 2% for Q4. And for the full year, SSG is 1%. Because if you look back at earlier quarters, same store sales growth was also negative at one point. So the fact that they are inching up from negative to थोड़ा at least positive में बन चुका है, वही बढ़िया बात है. Now यहाँ पे again demand is not really that great for Go Colors. Again the same thing as Supreme. इतना stores add कर रहे, they plan to add 120 to 130 stores. This time थोड़ा store count, the guidance. Usually they plan to add 120 to 130 stores. They missed it out by 15 to 20%. Reason is because they shut down a lot of stores which are not doing really well. They shut it down. The other reason is earlier usually Go Colors का store अगर आप देखते हो, you might have an experience, you might see it in the malls and all, right? It is a very small 200 square feet ka store. So they realized, with this 200 square feet in many locations, it's not able to cater to a wide range of SKUs. So they shut it down, or they're renovating it to a wider, bigger store. So because of that, you see that the store count has been missed by 15 to 20%. Now over here, if you look at it, like if you look at Go Colors over here, I mean, again, the same thing, right? 120 to 130 stores add karega and everything. But having said that, unless and until, again, even same thing, अगर demand नहीं आ रहे तो ये लोग क्या कर सकते हैं, ठीक है? The interesting business development happening over here is थोड़ा सा product mix change हो रहा है. Earlier, if you look at Go Colors, right, they are only like women's bottom wears, women's ka, leggings, pant, chinos, whatever you want, right? That is palazzos and all of that, Go Colors used to make, ठीक है? That is a business model, completely women centric. Now what they're doing is they're also entering into menswear. Let's say men's ka, basic wear such as chinos, yeah, polo shirts, round neck shirts, all of this, like lifestyle category in terms of men, they're entering that range, especially the top wear for men that is there. They're entering that range, and they're planning to do so. Let's say whichever Go Colors ka store is there, they're planning to add 15 stores in the first half of this year and another 10 stores in the second half of this year. But the first 15 stores that they're adding, they're not putting up, like a separate store for men's. What they're doing is Go Colors ka, if there is any store above 1500 to 2000 square feet, wherever they have, there they will be introducing the menswear first. In the existing Go Colors ka store jo hai, yahi stores mein, they will be adding this men's ka new collection, okay? So the 15 stores or the 15 stores for H1 and 25 stores for the full year that is there, it's not going to be all of it as are not new stores, but it is going to be already existing Go Colors mein, they're adding, okay? And unka plan yahan pe hai, as you might have heard about this Japanese brand called Uniqlo, okay? Really great. I love their clothes, absolutely. It's fantastic. It's like, especially if you like cotton, 100% cotton, they're like the best out there, okay? If so yahan pe kya ho raha hai, if you look at Uniqlo, they are like a lifestyle brand, okay? So they want to replicate what Uniqlo has done. But here is a catch, okay? When Uniqlo started, they didn't start as, completely as a women's wear and then they shifted to like men's or something. They came across as a brand that is like a lifestyle brand for both men, women, as well as kids, like that. They unlike Go Colors, we started as a women's brand, and now is, like they were very proud about the fact, they're very niche and everything, and now they're, going into men's wear and all. So here is the thing, I do not know, like, how this entire change, this product mix change, is it going to be good or bad? It can happen in either ways. One, because they've been so niche, very particular, very concentrated in terms of their products and catering only to women, and that too in women also they're catering only bottom wear, okay? So I do not know how acceptable this brand would be when they are shifting from women's wear to men's wear, right? So because your audience is completely women, so I do not know how that shift is going to take place. Would it be a positive response or would it be a negative response? Would it actually eat the current brand that is there, that they have built? So this is one thing. This is this is one. On the other hand, who knows, it might be good for them, because the problem with being so concentrated, the problem with being so niche is over here, you don't cater to a wide variety of audience, right? Because you're only doing bottom wear or wo bhi sirf women ka, your audience category is very limited. Now that you're venturing out into menswear, आपका थोड़ा wider category बन सकता है, right? Which can probably help the fact that यहाँ पे already demand नहीं है. SSG is, in fact इनका guidance, what it is, that our guidance is to maintain SSG positive in the next year. It is not even कि like मैं SSG को high single digit में लेके जाऊँगा. No, the fact that they want to remain positive in terms of SSG, that only is a big deal. So now you understand कितना बड़ा problem है in terms of demand. So this is a thing, right? Like it can backfire at them, the brand, or it can like help them cater to a wider variety of audience, and ये जो demand का situation है, it might open doors for them. So this is a very interesting business update. Who knows if it works out well for them, if it works out really great for them, this product mix change, right? Sales growth can come up, right? And this is something to worth tracking and seeing, how it goes. Because remember, in the investment checklist workshop, we kept talking about, product mix changes, if it's good or if it's bad. Yahan pe we'll have to track and see if this product mix change is good. Because if it is good, kya hoga? The amount of stores that they're catering for men, that will increase, right? If that increases, the sales growth will come up, and maybe because of this, SSG will also go up, and it can add to the bottom line, right? Like margins will improve and it would add to the bottom line. So this is something very, very interesting to see, and we'll have to see if it works or not. Okay, and that's it for today's video. And if you guys haven't got the investment checklist workshop, and if you want to understand, see, because we're already in the Q4 FY25 result, right? And if you want to understand what to look once you open the result document, once you open the PPT, what exactly do you look for? How do you know if that sales growth number that is given, if it's good or if it's bad, or what are the metrics to look for? Get the investment checklist workshop, and I can guarantee you, you will be able to apply it the very next day, and you will be able to form a skill set over here. Okay, link is in the description box, and that's that. I'll see you again in another video. Bye.